Assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings. I pray that all is well and everyone is in the best of health and spirits. It is your sister and brother Sean Ali on this beautiful Saturday, coming on with another Health and Wellness Power Hour edition. And our topic today is overcoming hypertension naturally. So as you come in, please share the video. Share the video. Sharing is caring. Assalamu alaikum, brother Sean.
Wa
How are
alaikum
you?
assalam. All all is well, sis. I'm alive, and that's the best thing I can be. We can
Yes,
be. How you doing today?
that's right. That's right. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Let me know. I'm good. I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
yes, ma'am.
Volume.
Yes,
Seems like
ma'am.
there might be a delay. All right. So this is our topic today, overcoming hypertension naturally, because is one of the things that our community suffers with is heart disease and high blood pressure. So we want to come on and overcome this because I get emails all the time, Brother Sean. The blood pressure medications have these side effects or they're recalled. So we want to talk about this so we can help our people with some natural solutions. All right. So
Right.
I know you've been studying. We hadn't been on in a while, and you've been studying and revamping some things. So come on and share with our audience what you have for us today.
Awesome. I mean, well, it's getting to the root of what hypertension and that system covers, right? So when
Right.
we look at it or when we hear about it, we a lot of times we attribute it to things that really have nothing to do with hypertension or high blood pressure. And some of these so-called remedies have nothing to do with high blood pressure or hypertension. And that's why it's becoming more and more predominant and more of a underlying health issue. And it's when
Right.
we're looking at the word hypertension, that's also called the silent killer, right? That's the nickname of it. It's called the
Right.
silent killer. And that means that you don't know you are suffering from it, have symptoms of it, or that it's actually killing you until it actually starts to kill you. And
Wow.
that's a pain, right? That's a painful and an unnecessary way for us to die, you know?
Right. It's
So
preventable. It's preventable.
yes, controllable. And can you put up that first slide for us, please, sis?
Yes. Continue talking while I pull
See,
it
and
up. My
right, right. When we going into it, we got to understand that hypertension, high blood pressure, we have to look at the system that it's dealing with. So if we want to overcome it, we have to first understand it, right? So when we are looking at this, this is
right.
our cardiovascular. This is our cardiovascular system. This is our circulatory system, right? So this is your heart, your lungs, and your veins and arteries. Did you find it? Yes, sis?
Right. Yes, I have it.
Okay.
Bring that up.
Can you read that for us, sis?
Yes. Let me see. Do I have the right one? When high
Yeah,
blood
that was the
pressure
right one.
affects the arteries. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Bear with me. My system is slow over here. today.
No worries.
All right. Okay. Bear with me, family. Bear with me. Trying to zoom it out so I can see it. Garden variety type of high blood pressure, what doctors call hypertension, affects vessels throughout the body, but a less common form affects the arteries that carry blood from the right side of the heart to the lungs. The vessels tighten, become stiff and thick, or develop
Right.
blood clots.
So and that's important for us because we have to understand the system and the parts that we are dealing with. So now, once we understand the systems and the part that we are dealing with, we can develop an effective plan of treatment, right? So if I understand that this is covering
Right.
those particular elements, the first thing I want to do is to be able to measure that. All right, you can take that down, sis. The first thing I want to
Okay.
do is I want to be able to measure or monitor my blood pressure. And we understand that hypertension is the silent killer, so it's not necessarily age dependent. You don't want to wait until you get a certain age. You want to, because when we are looking at hypertension or high blood pressure is a response for my actions. Whatever I do, my blood pressure raises to support my action through that movement. When I'm sitting still, my blood pressure should be as low as possible because I'm not doing anything. So when we are looking at this in this circulatory
Right.
and cardiovascular system, right? We want to look at
We have visuals for y'all today.
how good can y'all see this mannequin right here?
I
Now,
can see it. It
when
looks
we are
good. Let
now
us
when
know
we
if
are
you
looking
all can see it.
at the cardiovascular system, right? This is your breathing coming down to your trachea, coming into your bronchial tubes, right? Going into your lungs. So when we are looking at this system, this has nothing to do with food, water, or anything else. This is your breathing. So when you get up, when you are sleeping,
Right.
and you look at a sleeping person, they are moving very, very little, right? They are breathing very, very little. Sometimes you got
Right.
to check on them to make sure they're still breathing, that they're still alive, right? So, and if you check
Yes.
their blood pressure the numbers will be low, right? So when you get up, as soon as you open your eyes and you start to think and you start to move, this causes an increase in your heart rate. This causes an increase in your oxygen rate. So since you are sending more blood throughout your body, your heart is beating faster. So when you're looking at your blood pressure, you have your diastolic and you have your systolic. Your diastolic number,
Right.
that's when this heart when this heart beats and it contracts, boom, that amount of force, that's your when it goes to fill back up. That's what they call that systolic number. That's the number on the bottom. That's how much pressure it takes for it to contract and to fill back up with blood. Now, your
Right.
diastolic, when that heart goes to send blood through these arteries, right? That amount of force, that's what the diastolic number measures, right? So when you see
Right.
120 over 80, that's the amount of pressure it takes to send blood through your arteries, and that's the amount of pressure it takes for your heart to contract and fill up with blood. The higher those numbers, the more stress. And if you can see your heart, it's not that big.
Right.
Your heart is enveloped by your lungs, right? So your
So
lungs,
it's
they sit
working
there and
harder.
they right, and they hug. Your lungs are literally hugging your heart, right? It's almost like an
Wow.
embrace. So when you can you put up
Protecting
the
it.
next slide that
Yes.
I want the yeah. So when we are breathing, and I have a manual for us. It's called Breathing to Live, right? Inhale your way into health. When we understand that, and could you read it for us, please, sis?
Yes. 1 second. I have a delay on my end, so bear
No
with me,
worries, no
family.
worries, no worries.
Okay, it says mouth breathing may result in low oxygen concentration in the blood. This is associated with high blood pressure and heart failure. Wow. Studies show
Mm,
mouth breathing. Wow, that's, I'm going to read
come
that
on
again.
now.
Mouth breathing may result in low oxygen concentration in the blood. This is associated with high blood pressure and heart failure. Studies show mouth breathing may also decrease lung function and worsen symptoms and exacerbates in people with asthma.
Mm.
Wow.
See, okay. So you look now, okay, because when we are looking at the mannequin, right? When we know that we
Yes.
have two tubes in our neck, in our throat. We have the esophagus in the front, in the back, and you have your trachea in the front. The trachea is what's covered with cartilage. The esophagus is just like a tube, and it normally closed because we are not made to eat a lot. We are made to breathe a lot.
Right.
So the trachea has that cartilage to keep it open. Okay, so now you can see the nasal cavity. When you bring that air in your nose, look at this wide nasal cavity. See, your mouth is closed. When your mouth is closed, your nose is automatically open and you're automatically breathing. When your mouth is open,
Right.
your nose, it closes off your nasal cavity and closes off your trachea. So when you
Right.
mouth breathe, you have to force air into your trachea. Covering your trachea is a piece of cartilage called the epiglottis. And it keeps, so when you eat or drink, the esophagus is in the back. So when you eat or drink, it covers your trachea so food and water won't go down into your windpipe,
Right.
right? So when you breathe through your mouth, you have to force air you have to force air into your trachea. This is why mouth breathing is so laborious
Right.
because you are literally forcing now breathing on the brain. This is your brain stem, the medulla. This is the pons. This is the midbrain. The medulla is what controls our breathing. The medulla is what regulates our breathing. We are designed to breathe naturally with our nose.
Our
When we
nose. Right.
breathe with our mouth, we surpass our natural control center. This is where that stress come from. When you read about how mouth breathing can have poor oxygenation and lead to high blood pressure,
Right.
see
Heart
when
failure.
you mouth breathe, right, it's hard to breathe slow with your mouth,
Right.
and you're hyperventilating. You aren't getting enough oxygen in, and you aren't getting enough CO2 out.
Right. And Brother Sean, when you say that, it reminds me that our mouth is part of our digestive system, not the respiratory system. So it's doing something that it's not naturally made to do.
Your trachea goes, the trachea is that little tan piece. It goes right there, and there's your bronchial tubes that split off into your lungs, right? Your heart,
Right. Right.
exactly. And the heart's job, when you swallow that polluted, dirty air, when you swallow that polluted, dirty air, the first place it hits is the back of your throat, tonsillitis, right? You got those viral infections in your throat, those throat infections, right? And viruses. Okay. So now when you force it to swallow, didn't it said asthma?
Right. Yes. It
Okay.
said yes.
Those pollutants and those irritants and those elements, they cause your bronchial tubes to close because your bronchial tubes want to protect your lungs. So it will close to keep those elements out. But they call that an asthma
Wow.
attack. See? So now when you forcing that air, that dirt into your lungs, now it gets into your lungs. And as you can see, you got the veins are the blue, the arteries are the red, right? And this is
Right.
where the oxygen diffuses that in your lungs. So when your heart beats, the first beat of that heart is the pulmonary circuit. This is when you're looking at the heart, this artery right here, even though it's blue, it's called the pulmonary trunk. It's coming from the lungs with fresh oxygen. So when that goes over here into this chamber, boom, it's fresh oxygen. Then it comes up and it comes out of your aorta and it's dispersed through your body. So when we breathe through our nose, we give the nose, you see that nasal cavity is a big cavity. That's why they call it a cavity, because it's a big space. So when you inhale through your nose, you give your nasal cavities a chance to clean and purify that air. So when it comes down your larynx and your pharynx and get into your trachea, it comes down into your bronchial tubes and goes to your lungs. You have fresh, pure oxygen. So when that heart beats to go and gets that oxygen and carries it back to your heart to disperse it throughout your body, now you have fully oxygenated blood being circulated throughout your body to every cell in your body. Right? We got sis, if you can, that next slide, it's a one more slide I would like for us to the third slide I would like for you to bring up if you can. Now, because it goes into the importance of that when we are monitoring. Yep. Can you read it for us,
Okay.
sis?
Yes. Okay, it says slow, deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which decreases the heart rate and dilates blood vessels, reducing your overall blood pressure. As your breathing
Mm,
becomes slower, your
mm.
brain associates it with a state of relaxation, which
Okay,
causes
now
your body to slow down other functions like digestion.
come on now. There's no food, there's no water, there's
All
no
right.
pills. Okay, it's because remember the medulla right here. This is what controls our breathing. So when you're looking at your nervous system, everything in your body is controlled by your nervous system, right? So this part is called our cervical vertebrae. This is our thoracic vertebrae. This is our lumbar vertebrae. So your cervical vertebrae controls everything except for the bottom part of your arm. So if you would look, that nerve would go all the way down. So the top part of your arm is controlled in your breathing, and the top part of our head is controlled right here. The parasympathetic nervous system, para it means outside. So the parasympathetic nervous system sits outside of the regular nervous system, right? And these neurons give you control over your body. See, that neural pathway of the parasympathetic nervous system, when you go to think something, see, this is Your frontal lobe right here on the brain is where our motor skills are at, right? So if you would look at the brain,
Yes.
it's a pathway right here. This is what the part of the brain that controls our motor skills. So whenever you want to move any part of your body, the signal starts right here, right? And
Right.
it's transferred down to your spinal column to that section. When you nasal breathe, you are breathing according to your anatomical structure. This your limbic system
Right.
is right here. This allows your limbic system to become satisfied. This allows that fight or flight to be settled. This allows your body to become normalized and regulated because now it's operating as
Right.
it should, right? Is that easy
Yes.
to understand? Right. So when we are looking at this
Yes.
now, when you breathing wrong and you mouth breathing, that's when your neck. See, you are interfering with your cervical neuron because your medulla is sending your medulla regulates your breathing. So when you have an erratic breathing that you are doing because you want to breathe, your mouth breathing, that's erratic breathing. It's sending signals to your medulla that you are dying
Wow.
because oh, because it's regulating your breathing. It's regulating your blood oxygen, the levels of oxygen in your blood, and it will cause you to breathe a certain way because it thinks you are dying.
Right.
So you will, when you mouth breathe and you have all of that stress, you will feel it in your neck. You will feel it
You do.
in your
You actually
shoulder
do.
blade. Mm.
And then put anxiety and all of that in the mix. It'll literally feel like you're hyperventilating.
That's all of the nerves coming off.
Right.
See, we are interfering with that natural signal because we are causing the imbalance by breathing wrong. So we are literally
Breathing
fighting
wrong.
our own body for control. Now, if
Wow.
every breath you take is wrong, if every breath we take is wrong, look at what that does. That's accumulated damage. That's your hypertension. That's your high blood pressure. Because this is all happening right here. High blood pressure, hypertension happens right here. This part of your body. This is the control of it. This is the start of
Wow.
it. Yes. Hey sis, look, we got one
I've
more
been
slide. Can you
witness.
show that last slide, please?
Yes. Okay. And then we have several questions, Brother Sean. We'll get to that
Okay, yeah,
after
yes.
this slide.
That might answer them right there. But I just
Yes. All right. Okay. All right. It says nasal breathing was the only type of breathing exercise that they found to improve heart rate, blood
mm,
pressure, and
mm,
respiratory rate. Nasal
mm,
breathing also affects the parasympathetic nervous system, which can have a positive effect on blood pressure. Wow.
mm. Woo! All right.
Wow. I think that answered the sister's question. She wanted to know how to breathe to live.
Oh, this is this. All right. Hey, okay.
Wow.
Now I'm gonna show that. I'm gonna take out some of these organs. Now, for y'all, this is your liver, right? Oh, man, we gonna look. Our future shows are gonna be awesome, man. We gonna have some future because we
Yes.
gonna once you see this, once you see how your body looks and how it works, you won't never be tricked by that false interpretation. See, because in the Nation of Islam, our lessons say that we were born here under an interpretation of a job of receiving gold, more gold for working here than we were earning in our own country. That's part of that trickery of how they got us here.
Right.
They keep us here because they keep us physically weak. We don't want to separate because we think we're going to need a hospital. I'm going to need medication. I'm going to need their services. So we don't want to physically separate. Well, look, let me show you how you can control your body. And not only will you want to separate, man, you won't listen to nothing they will ever tell you ever again about health and wellness. Right? So when we are looking at breathing, let's look at you got your nose, your nasal cavities, your larynx, pharynx, your trachea, coming down to your bronchial tubes going into your lungs. Now, on these lungs, you can see this little white at the bottom, right? So
Yes.
as your lungs sit there, we have the diaphragm. The diaphragm sits, it's this white covering. If you can see that white covering right there, that's the diaphragm. So when your stomach goes out, the diaphragm comes down because the lungs, they're like balloons. They don't just inflate. You have to literally fill them up with your breathing. So
Right.
if you put one hand on your stomach, right? When your obliques, all of these muscles, they are part of your breathing. So when those muscles go out and all of these organs they drop down, that gives that space in that cavity for these lungs to fill up. Now when those stomach goes back in, it pushes the diaphragm up and it squeezes out the lungs. So when we are breathing, we want to have at least a 4-second inhale. So when you are breathing, because these are like balloons, you want to make sure you are filling them up all the way, right?
Right.
So because if you look at wrong breathing, shallow breathing is one of the wrong ways to breathe, right? So
Yes.
as you're coming in, count in your head 1, 2, 3, 4. And once you get to that full inhalation, it might feel a little painful. That's because those lungs are hitting the outer edge of that rib. You are expanding them probably for the first time. So it might feel a little uncomfortable, but you're doing it right. Now, when you go to exhale, you want to make sure you're squeezing as much as you can because you want to get out all of the CO2. When you're looking at your veins, everywhere you got an artery, you got a vein. Arteries carry the blood to the organs and cells. The veins carry the blood back to the lungs so you can breathe it out, right? So when you are looking, that's a lot of poison throughout your body that you have to get out. So when you're looking at asphyxiation, that's not from you not breathing, that's from CO2 buildup. So now if you have CO2 built up in your body, this is where carbonic acid, this is where your pH becomes acidic. This is that acid, because that carbonic acid in your blood, that's the basis for having acidic blood pH.
Right. Wow. Brother Sean, we have some questions.
Go
Let me
ahead.
see. Um, does proper breathing play a role with the correct weight of a person?
Yes, yes, because whenever you do something wrong, you create stress. So okay, now these are your adrenal glands. You can see these are your kidneys. Your adrenal glands sit right on their caps on top of your kidneys, right? So whenever you do something wrong, you create fight or flight. So that the fight or flight is about right here in your brain. So now that signal rushes down your spinal column, right? The kidneys and the adrenal glands, they are at T9 through T12, the vertebrae, T9 through T12. So you got that signal rushing down and it's activating and it's causing the adrenal glands to secrete cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine, which is adrenaline, right? Now, if you look up cortisol weight, look up cortisol weight. That is when your body is stuck in fight or flight mode and you can't get out of producing these hormones. And you have an overstimulated adrenal glands. You have overstimulated kidneys, right? And they are constantly activated. So when you are looking at fighting weight, the best way to relax the body is through your breathing. The only way, I should say, that we can relax the body is through breathing, because when you breathe through your nose, you activate that part of your brain that gives you control over your body, the parasympathetic nervous system. So when you don't breathe right, you are under the sympathetic nervous system. That's when your heart is racing and your body is shutting down. Look, all of these systems, your liver, kidney, stomach, spleen, all of when you are in stress, all of this is shut down. When you hear me and Sister DeNise say it shuts your body down, that means it's shutting down all of these organs right here. Because when it comes to fight or flight, they aren't important. When it comes to so this means that you have liver problems. This means that you have stomach problems. This means that your pancreas is right here. You have all kind of problems that develop from a state of stress. So when that last slide that Sister DeNise showed, that nasal breathing is how we relax the body. So that now all of that gets to work, the metabolism, you get to digest the fat, you get to secrete the fat, you get to use it, and you get to lose it because the body is working.
Right. And Brother Sean, while they're practicing nasal breathing, that's a good time to have some aromatherapy with an essential oil that helps to arrest or stop the fight or flight is patchouli. Patchouli essential oil.
Yes.
It helps to relax you and it stops that fight or flight. It lowers your cortisol. And I have these nasal inhalers, which I call, can you see that? Aromatherapy on the go. When you're out and about, and you're driving or get road rage, take the top off of this inhaler and just inhale, breathe, practice your breathing with this aromatherapy on the go. So easy. Just take the top off. You don't have to pour anything in your hand. I create these. So just put it up to your nose and inhale a few times and practice that breathing while you're out and about or stressed at work, at home, and it'll help you to come out of that fight or flight, lower that cortisol level, and get you into a state that you need to be in.
Wow. And all you got to do is what?
Take the top off.
Look, put it to your nose.
Come on. Your nose.
And your nerve, your olfactory nerves are right here. So when you sit in there and it goes to that limbic part of your brain.
Yes.
And gives it satisfaction. Do you know how hard it is to give a black man and woman satisfaction living in America?
I can't
Yes.
get no satisfaction.
So when
I wanted to
when
be a singer, y'all, when I was growing up.
yes, yes, and that's your brain. So when you are under, like I said, the control part of your brain, the motor skill, the motor part is right here. The sensory, the motor is in front. The sensory is right here. So when you're looking, that those essential oils, they activate the sensory part of your brain. And once that sensory part is
Right.
activated, it that's what controls your fight or flight because it's your senses that put you in the fight or flight. I'm scared. I see something, I hear something, I taste
Exactly.
something. Right. So that's what puts you into fight or flight.
Right. So you have to have something to counteract that. And the essential
Woo.
oils do that. Lavender, patchouli, eucalyptus. Just open, right? The sister said, Sister Patricia, just open, sniff, and exhale. That's right. That's right.
Yes. Yes.
Was
And
never
it
taught
gives
any
you
of this in school. No, sir.
no. And it gives you the control. See, that's the thing. This is your highway to control everything in your body. See, when you're looking at this, when you look at your vertebrae, and that hole is where your nerve, the nerves track, right? So this allows you to track. It goes all the way down. So and that's the thing, when we are in fight or flight, we have no control. So America keeps us scared, fearful, angry,
Keeps us in
lusting.
flight or fright.
Right.
Yes.
They
Everything
activate. So
going on now, people gonna come to your door and it's crazy.
right. And you can't think right or live right under that condition. That's the
Exactly.
beauty of the oils, is because within 22 seconds, man, now, within 22 seconds, you got control over your brain, which gives you control over your body. So if you take your head off and because you are in fight or flight, it's like you literally have disconnected your head from your body. And you are chicken running around with your head cut off.
Head cut off. That's right.
When you
Absolutely.
that
Totally
patchouli,
unconscious.
oh
Yes.
my goodness.
That patchouli. I love it.
Sister Denise got something you can carry in your pocket.
In your pocket. And it's so simple.
That it and when you're looking at hypertension, high blood pressure, you know, that's something I've had to deal with. That's something a lot of people have to deal with, but we don't want to monitor ourselves. We
Right.
don't want to we don't want to change our lifestyle that to change our blood pressure. We want
Right.
to, so because there is no pill. The, your blood pressure is a response of your lifestyle, what you think, do, eat, and drink. So if you are
Right.
controlling your
Right.
eating and your drinking, it's your thinking.
And that
Those
goes to
racing.
a question we have here. Brother
Okay.
Sean, he says, so how does fasting play a role with all of this?
Oh, that's easy. If we fast now, if we go to the root of fasting, which is to abstain from anything that's potentially harmful or negative, right? So not just not eating or drinking, It's abstaining from anything because we don't have sex when we're fasting. We don't. It's a lot of things we don't do in that state of fasting. So if I'm
Right.
abstaining from anything that's harmful or negative, then breathing wrong. See, I'm abstaining from breathing wrong. Listen, look, see, so when we are looking at fasting and how do I apply fasting to my life, that's my period to stop hurting myself. I just have to be real with all of the ways that I am hurting myself. See, now that I know that there's a way to breathe right and breathe wrong, I'm it's easy to correct that because
Exactly.
we didn't know, and now we got science, breathing to live, how to
Right.
inhale your way into health. So
We have science over here.
yeah,
Overcoming
go ahead, sis.
hypertension naturally. This is my book.
Exactly. Now,
Sharing the essential oils that can help you with that.
now I can say this. When we are fasting and we aren't doing all of these things, you will already notice that it and if you take note of yourself, you will see that it's affecting your breathing. Because now look at when you eat. The next time you eat, look at your breathing when you eat. When you go to walk, look at your breathing activities doing everything that you do. And
Right.
watch how you change. And then that's when you start to practice the right breathing habits, right? Because this is not just when we are sick or to over. I should be breathing like this every breath of my life.
Every day. Right.
Every breath. Every breath of the. And what's the song? I see now. I ain't gonna try to sing, but that song that says every breath you
Every
take,
breath I take. Right.
right? So every breath we take
Yeah.
is literally helping or hurting us. Literally.
Absolutely. Literally.
So, right,
Like
we
Brother
saw
Sean,
how
I
my
was telling you when I called you the other day. Remember I told you I went to the doctor, my blood pressure was a little elevated. And she
right,
told me, and I asked her, well, what could be the cause? I just wanted to see what she was going to say. And she said, oh, it just happens with age. It's no, we don't know what the cause is. I'm like, could it be from having a sedentary lifestyle or not exercising or food? She was like, oh, no, it just comes with age and prescribed a
right,
pill.
right.
It's like, really? And if I didn't know
And
any better, I would be one of those, just going with that and taking the pill, and that would end up with another pill, and so on and so forth.
hmm 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 and you can now look, take the pill. Okay, you swallow the pill, right? The pill goes down your esophagus, and your esophagus comes out right here, and then it goes into your stomach, right? So as it's sitting in your stomach, right now, it it comes from your stomach to your intestines right here. This is called your duodenum. Your intestines is broken down into three parts. The first part is this loop called the duodenum, and that's where the pancreas and your gallbladder mixes up, and it turns that, and it breaks down that stomach sludge, and it neutralizes the stomach acids. This is your jejunum. This part of your intestines is where those pills and medications would be digested, will be secreted out of your body, right? Now, once they are secreted out of your body, all of the blood vessels, you can see the blood vessels that's attached in your intestine. All of these blood vessels go back to the liver. Every nutrient, water, vitamin, mineral, element that's digested out of your intestine, they go to your liver before they are dispersed through your body. So this is why medications have liver and all of you gotta eat and do all of them things when you are taking certain
Yeah.
medications, because that's the route that they have to travel before they are dispersed through your body. They can become stored in your liver. Your liver might not even want to disperse it through your body. Your liver will
Right.
store and manage what it secretes through your body. So you could
Wow.
be popping them pills and you can just have a
And
liver full of pills. You can have
yeah,
a
it
liver
never
full of
gets to.
medication.
Wow. It never
Okay?
gets to where it's supposed
It,
to go.
it never leaves the.
Look, the body is protecting itself.
Oh, see, once I show you, once we show you your body and how it works, we're gonna remove that technology. Man, why? Listen, when we do this COVID-19 show, that's when y'all really want to do, because I'm gonna show, we're gonna break it down. See, so your body already has a system in place to do these things, but when we don't understand them and we go to these external sources, that doctor, that allopathic medicine is going to get you surgery or a pill.
Wow.
That's all allopathic medicine. You want to look, I'm going to show you real quick how I know they lying to you. If you take your body's temperature right now, what will it be?
98.
98.6 degrees, right? If you have a virus or bacterial infection, your body will raise the temperature, what they call a fever, right? To get rid of it, right? Now,
Right.
if you have a dead tissue in somewhere in your body, rigor mortis sets in, right? That dead tissue is cold, not hot, right?
Right.
Now, if you go into a hospital right now, what is the temperature?
Freezing.
Okay, now your body is hot. When it's sick, it raises the temperature. When your body is sick, it raises the temperature. So if you go to a hospital and it's cold, the only bodies that are cold are dead bodies. They are preserving rigor mortis. They are preserving rigor and promoting rigor mortis. Okay. See, so when you step in the emergency room, and for those of us that were professionals, I know before I would used to go to the emergency room, I'm going to grab some snacks. I'm going to grab a coat. Because I know it's going to be cold in there. So I'm going to grab all. Oh, see,
Wow.
they lying, man. Look, they lying. They're not trying to get us healthy. They're trying to preserve that state of death that we are initiating with our lifestyle. They
Right.
know we're not breathing right. We just showed how mouth breathing leads to hypertension and high blood pressure. We just showed that, right? We just showed how nasal breathing controls high blood pressure in your body. So where do they get the pills from? Where do they get all of these inhalers from?
Right.
See, because we don't know ourselves. So when you don't even know what your lungs look like, what your heart looks like, how it works, they can easily trick us, man.
That's right. And Brother Sean, another question. Even if it's worse, can high blood pressure be reversed?
Of course it is. It starts right here. Your, your high blood pressure is right here. This part of your brain is your motor your motor nerve. It's your lungs, your arteries, your veins. All of those have their control right here. It's no part of your body that you can't control with your brain.
Right.
See, so if I understand that, if I take this monitor and I measure my blood pressure, if it's elevated, what do I do? That's a great question, because we monitor resting blood pressure. That's the key word. We monitor resting blood pressure. We monitor the resting heart rate, because when you're moving, your blood pressure is supposed to be up. So if you are resting and you register and you monitor your blood pressure and it's up, you don't take anything. You sit.
Right.
You sit still. You control your thinking. Think about peaceful things, God, pray, and you just relax for 25, 30 minutes. And I know you're going to say, I don't have that much time. But listen, you sit there and you relax. And then after that 25, 30 minutes, you monitor yourself again. If it's still elevated, you do it again. Because if you aren't moving, then the only thing that can keep your blood pressure up is your thoughts. See, because your thoughts will create fight or flight. So you could be sitting still but be angry. You could be sitting still but be mad, be sad, be depressed. And that will cause your arteries to constrict. I got a thing. Hey, Sister DeNise, look,
Yes.
Monitor your blood pressure. If it's elevated, get the oil, get the nasal inhaler from Sister DeNise. And because you don't want to whenever you put something in your stomach, in your mouth, it has to be circulated. That requires energy. So from your stomach, you got your stomach, your spleen, your pancreas. You got a lot of things that have to be activated for you to digest stuff. That takes a lot of energy. So when fasting, this is another way fasting lowers the blood pressure, because you're not activating those parts of your body. Right? So if you eat something and this is your cervical vertebrae, all of your stomach, lung, and your digestive system is right here. So when you eat something, that power travels. And it travels to here so it can activate all of these organs. And until you have that bowel movement, you are in a state of digestion. If you put something in you, until you have that bowel movement, you are in a state of digestion, meaning you are in a state of elevated blood pressure, because you are in a state of action.
Right.
So when we eat to live, eat one meal a day, one meal every 2 days, one meal every 3 days, we're not activating these vertebrae. So all of the power is here. So now you want to think you want to do some godly things. See, you want to go ahead and make some miracle happen. You want to go ahead and say cool by cool. You want to go ahead and say be it because, man, listen.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Y'all know I ain't been on in a while. I've been backed up with man. Woo.
Feel good, huh?
Yes. Serving my people, our people.
That's right.
Yes.
That's how you know you walking in your purpose.
Yes. And I couldn't wait to show y'all
That's
this
awesome.
anatomy figure right here, because we're going to knowledge of self. Now, this is knowledge of self, right? Do we have any more?
No. No, that was it that I see right now. Let's see.
Okay. Well, this probably be like a great way to close. Um,
Yes. Great, great,
yes.
awesome presentation. Thank you. All right,
Oh
family. What were you gonna say, Brother Sean?
no, I want you to show your book again and the inhaler.
Oh yes, I'm gonna put it up on the screen.
Yeah,
This is the inhaler.
that's important.
Inhalers. Yes, and I can create those for whatever situation that you're dealing with.
Mhm.
Whether it's anxiety, depression, stress, uh, high blood pressure, and I'll put the screen, the book cover
Even if
up.
you, hey sis, they could be too happy.
Right, or too happy. And my book, Overcome Hypertension Naturally, is available on Amazon. So you can go there, and I'll put the link, direct link, in the comments.
Yes.
Yes, sir. And what's your book, Brother Sean?
Breathing to live, mimicking how to eat to live. Inhale your way
Right.
into health. Right. It's not a novel. Sister
Awesome.
Denise's book is not a novel. These are science books. These to teach you
Tools.
everything that you've heard me to discuss on breathing is in this book. So that right there, yes,
Absolutely.
right, right. And we
Yes,
definitely
sir.
appreciate everybody that tuned back in, especially since we were gone for a while. And you know
Right.
that yeah, that definitely is it. I know it makes me feel good to know
Feel
that
good
even though we were
they
yes, that
that they
we're
missed us
y'all
and want
still
to
listen.
hear, appreciate what we
Yeah,
have to say. So that's awesome. All praises due to Allah.
all
And
praise.
with that being said, family, we thank you all for tuning in. And once again, share this video. If you're watching this on the replay, share it out. And we greatly appreciate you. And tune in.
Yeah,
We have, oh, before we go, we have a class that we're going to do coming up, a
yeah,
master class, health and wellness master class that we're going to put
yes,
together. So stay tuned for the information on that. It'll be on Zoom, so you'll be able to come in and talk to us personally, one on one, and get your questions answered. So stay
yeah.
tuned for that. When we get the date and time and everything, we will definitely let you all know. All right,
That's
so
gonna be
family,
awesome. That's
awesome.
gonna be that's
Yes,
yes. Woo!
y'all love our energy here. Wait till you get one on one with us on the Zoom.
Yeah.
All right. All right, family. You all take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Assalamu alaikum.
Well, Alaikum assalam.
Yes, sir. All right.